Yo. Back up in the building for another edition of the Harry's Drinking Again Pubcast. I am your host, Harry Too Scary, a.k.a. Mr. Harris. And tonight, we have episode 104. That's right, baby. 104 weeks in a row. The official 2-year mark of the Harris's Drinking Again Pubcast. Come on in. Let's talk about it. I'm going to discuss last week's events and put together a decent pub for you tonight. Shout out to Gubba Rum. But we're sipping New Amsterdam tonight. Vodka. Boom. Got the Gubba Gold and the Gubba Silver wherever you can find it. Check it out. Zen time. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the Harris's Drinking Again Pubcast experience. This is the recovery episode. Obviously, after the relapse episode, last week was terrible. It was just terrible. And I made some Facebook posts and I apologized, and it was just terrible. Not only because I was coming down off crystal meth, but because the audio and everything was just jacked up. So actually, before I even get too much started, let me go make sure everything's working. And make sure everything's working before we get too lost in it here. Because last week, my screen was looking good. Here we go. Because last week, all right. Up in the building, huh? Yeah, last week, crazy technical difficulties and whatnot. But we're back, man. We're back strong. Tonight, we're live on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Podbean, wherever else it's at. You can also find the Harris's Drinking Again Pubcast on Spotify, on Apple, Amazon, Google, anywhere where you listen to podcasts. We are all over the place, baby. Streaming now. Shout out to the Facebook community tonight. I'm going to be talking about one of the comments that was left earlier from a good friend and hopefully supporter of the show. Loopies left some awesome comment, and we're just going to break it down. So let's just get right into it. I was coming down off crystal meth last week. Yeah, I know. It's the dark secret. At least in from what I've known in the industry, in the world, I've smoked it with a couple of, I'm going to say, B-list celebrities and a legendary underground rapper. I'll just say that. And they both have told me that it's kind of like the, everyone's okay with cocaine, but apparently crystal meth is just where people draw the line and they don't want people to know that they do it. And and other, I guess, influential people, they take Adderall and shit like that. Well, I was prescribed Adderall when I was like 8 years fucking old or some shit like that. Okay, so I'm no shame to that one either. As you know, I talk about drug use and addiction on this show many times before. And it's something that I'm not ashamed of, or there is shame in it. That's why we talk about it. We try to get better. I made it 28 months, without doing it. And just something, the taste, the craving, sometimes it just gets overwhelming. And So I wanted to partake a little bit to get that monkey off my back. And so I did. And I'm here in the flesh still. Tried to do the show last week, but again, my spirit wasn't right. And that's the issue with this particular substance is because, it can take you away. I've always been pretty in check of my drug use. I've never been to like an actual rehab or anything of this nature. It's just something I do recreationally from time to time my entire life, whether it is meth, cocaine, shrooms, acid, Adderall, DMT, you know, I'm a fucking drug addict. I mean, I don't know what other way to put it. So you don't have to go to rehab. You don't have to like necessarily, I think, find yourself in these places to be one. It's just more of a mindset, a mentality, and an overall, excuse me, an overall, I want to really get into like growing up in Nevada in general, because that's where I was raised in the late 90s, 2000s. It was just prevalent. It still is prevalent. Most of my circle and all the small towns that I've lived in, we've dealt with some sort of drug issue since we were teenagers. The idea, obviously, as you age, is to get better. And a lot of times when I have these conversations with even older men, and I see like 54-year-olds and stuff still doing a line here and there, and I'm like, damn, maybe it's something that there is never any truly getting over, but it's just keeping it in check. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe the monkey never comes off the back, but you know what? Sometimes you got to scratch it sometimes. I'm not sure. We're still working on that, and my discipline and my strength. But I figured I'll document it since I have a channel and I have a platform. Thank you to everybody who has liked, subscribed, and even if you give a 1 minute of your energy, I appreciate it very much. Constantly thinking of what else I can do and how else I'm gonna come. But the Therapy Night Rants is what it is, and it's highlight, it's documentation of my week to week, and hopefully entertaining and somewhat informative. And at the very least, if there's other people that can relate, that are struggling silently, because I'll be the voice for the people. I don't mind being a martyr. I don't mind putting myself on the chopping block. I know a lot of people that struggle with drugs, as we all do, and it shouldn't be a taboo thing in 2024. It just shouldn't. A lot of the stories that I'll tell, I try to put a comedic spin on it, make it funny, but there really is nothing funny about it. It's a sad lifestyle. It is pitiful. I am pitiful at times. I'm disgusting, and I'm a piece of shit. And that's how I feel sometimes. Now, am I a piece of shit as far as what I do to others? No. I am a piece of shit partner or boyfriend. I know my girlfriend deserves better. I do have a wonderful woman, but she does not feel valued right now. And she has every right to feel that way, and I don't want to embarrass her. But I have to speak my motherfucking truth, no matter what it is. And so I cheated on her recently. I told her about it, just like I did the last time. And so I'm an asshole for that, okay? But this is nothing new. I've stated that I'm a cheater my entire life. And if I'm not necessarily going out to look for it, I have a hard time with turning down pussy. It just, especially good pussy. I mean, or some head or something like this. I don't know. So I'm open to that. And I understand, like, even in the future, man, you know, or my son or something, he looks back and I don't want him to be like, damn, daddy, you know, you were this or that. But the truth is he's going to be a man one day too. And hopefully he's a better man than me. But I feel like if I'm ever going to get better and grow up, then I have to put all my skeletons out on Front Street, you know. And this last year, going into 2023, when I made my relocation back here to my home state, the battle-born state, be the one with the high rates in the crystal meth suicide, including rape. I knew the temptations were going to come even more harder than they did living in Utah. And I ducked them pretty good. I ducked them pretty good, you know. The particular place where I'm getting money from and stuff right now, it's like a cesspool of degenerates. Shout out to everybody. I'll see y'all in a motherfucking few hours working the graveyard shift. But it's like a cesspool of degenerates, you know? And I guess that's why I'm there, because you know, we always find our own. Now, morally, you know, shit like that, will I help the old lady across the street and this and that? Yes, absolutely. I don't wake up with any malice in my heart. But I understand I am a very selfish individual. I'm not a narcissist. I don't believe so. I'm not that much. But I'm very selfish. And I guess that's as most drug users. It doesn't matter if you go, again, a week, a year, 5 years. You want your drug when you want it, and you don't care about the cost of other people. And that's true for myself. I don't care. When I want something, I want it. And that's that. I'm not gonna name anybody, but I have very close friends and everything that struggle with their use as well. And sometimes they tell me not to talk about stuff, and like, damn, bro, like you be spilling too much beans. And it's like, well, not really, because I mean everything's recorded through the damn phone. Like, the people that know what they're gonna know. And I don't ever want to get to a place where people can spread something about me or say something to where it's like, nah, you just go back to episode so and so. I already said that, or I've already admitted that. You know what I mean? Um, and hopefully by that point, you know, there's a healing process to all of this. And when I started my channel, it was a 2-year plan, a 2 to 5 year plan. I got plenty of mojo left. I'm going to go strong the rest of this year, but there's a whole evolution that comes with Harris's drinking again. One day it will not be Harris's drinking again, or it will be Harris's drinking again, but it won't be alcohol. It'll be something else, right? So the overall plan is that you're seeing a man, as we crack the top off, you're seeing a man dealing with his demons live. And also, you know, we interview over here on this channel, and we put out videos, play music and everything. But this new media, for me, is a way to express and explore ideas, possibilities, and it's therapy. Free therapy. Thank you, YouTube. And those who do tap in struggle. I know there's been a couple of nights where we have these kind of random people that will chime in, and there's dealing with the same thing. There was an opiate user, I think, 2 weeks ago. He was struggling with opiates or something back east, and he found the channel, and we have a good session. You know, we sit here and talk and we vibe, and that's the whole point. Especially no co-host, anything. We're just sitting here, one man in it, and making something out of nothing. Let me go here. Shout out to Lupe Mendez, man. I left the let me see. I'm gonna actually screen share real quick because I want to give props and I want to break down something um really quick here. Um, Share the screen. So this is a clip that I actually posted maybe last Friday or something. I'll play this real so long and not eat that even eating a banana would hurt my jaws after a couple days, right? And so I think of all those negative aspects of drugs to stay away from them because the moment is great, but it's the after effects. Sometimes I'd be up for so long. And so that was just a short little clip that I did. And it was actually perfect timing. I didn't even realize that I had that in the chamber like that. But Lupe Mendez here, she says, showing your journey to becoming sober and the real raw struggles with it, like keeping your shit together through rough times. We all know life is fucking hard sometimes. Will have positive impact on many people. Talk about the shit you are trying to mask with the substances instead of numbing them. I remember our childhood conversations, and I know you've been through some shit. It's time to stop feeling sorry and taking control. People need to relate. People need to know they are not alone. It'll bring actual positive manifestations for many listeners instead of making you a joke for saying random shit while under the influence, if that makes sense. You are a strong person and you were meant to be in the entertainment business. You will be successful. I believe in you. I'm proud of you for publicly realizing and publicly holding yourself accountable. That is strength. Hashtag Harris is sober again. Hope you are in a better place. Don't look back. Just look forward from here on. You know, and so that was a wonderful comment, by the way. Any and all, and this fucking fag here at the bottom, I don't know what the hell, so pretty, whatever the fuck that bullshit is, some fucking Indian bot. Fuck you, Indian bots. Better be talking about my background, motherfucker. But any and all comment, you know, is warranted. Good, bad. I'd like more trolls, more negative people. But I had to ask her, you know, and she did reply again. I said, that's dope. Thanks for the input, Lupe. But per the second part, you know, when she said, you know, talk about the shit you were trying to mask instead of numbing them. It's time to stop feeling sorry for yourself. You know, I don't do any sympathy posts. When I woke up the next day, or I was laying there at 4 a.m. after being up for about 5 fucking days and feeling like shit. That's the whole thing. Is I made some posts, but they're never sympathy posts. I don't give a damn about no sympathy. I'm not sitting here crying about nothing. But for me, speaking about the past trauma shit is just what helps me. Like, I don't know any other way because I have a lot of shit on my conscience and I need to get it out. And so I didn't want anybody to get misconstrued and think that, oh, Harris is like wanting people know. I'm trying to bring awareness to motherfuckers and letting people know that if you are out there just like me, you know, you can still do what you do. Whether that's trying to be a pubcaster or you're a musician or you're a writer, whatever it is, or if you're just a regular working Joe with no ideas and you come home and you like to, you know, bang a bag of blow on the weekends, like, we're all in this together. And that I am someone that I will put myself on Front Street. So I wanted to clarify that. I didn't actually read her last reply. Oh yeah, yes, I meant keep going this way. I was meaning with encouragement to what you are doing. The sorry part is because you sounded like you were in regret of your actions and apologetic per se. If you were not under the influence, you would have more control, which I know you don't want to hear it, but if you choose to just not do substances / alcohol, then you wouldn't have to apologize sober. Not you feeling sorry for yourself. I should have specified. I don't think you feel sorry for yourself. I know things take time and mistakes have to be made. Be good to yourself, treat yourself and your body the way you want to be viewed. We all like success stories, especially yours. I actually think you are in a good place for the cards you've been dealt. I know you could be very successful, though. I feel like I'm lecturing you. That is not my intention. I'm encouraging you to keep doing well and keep your mind straight. Can we give a pause for that? So thank you very much, Lupe. That's kind of how I took it. I just wanted to clarify that one, but nah, that's she's spot on, man. And this is the sister of my best friend here, Abraham Morales, man, aka Trucks. What's up, big dog? I love all you guys. But thank you for this comment on the post and everything. And but so what I'm doing, I guess, is working to some degree, or it may not be for everybody, but there is a person or two out there that could benefit from hearing somebody just be so blunt and honest, even to a T. I don't need to be held up on some pedestal, but I'm very honest, man. Even at my job the other day, I couldn't do it. Like sometimes I have a hard time bullshitting with the customers, man. And I just say what's on my mind. It'll cost me some tips sometimes, but I don't know any other way to be other than just speak my damn mind. Like I gotta learn to shut up sometimes, and I do. I'm a pretty quiet guy, and I think a lot. And sometimes when I'll think before I speak, and I'll be like, oh, not say it, bro, because I'd rather let the room know. And you could choose not to be in this room. You could choose not to be in my presence, but I feel better when I really let shit out. And so that was the whole thing I wanted to clarify. Let me go ahead and send some things out here to the people in the group and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know many other, I guess I'm gonna say, media type of people that are really on Front Street about this stuff. Almost everybody I known and met in my entire life is they got some dirt on their name, dirt on in the closet. They're silently suffering from this thing we call addiction. I'm never drunk on the show, so I didn't say this. Like this clip wasn't me under the influence. I sit here and sip. I might have a couple sippers, and that's what it is. Alcohol is really not my issue, although I do enjoy the taste of the liquor. I do generally enjoy it. That's why I just sip it neat. And, I get a little buzz, whatever, here and there. And I go about my business. But the weed, that's a fucking full-blown addiction. I don't even get high anymore. I just smoke it like it's a damn cigarette. And I can't not go 2 or 3 weeks without doing it. I can't. I have no desire to. Weed makes me feel safe. It makes me feel comfortable. Just knowing I got a little pre-roll up there, like just knowing it's there makes me feel good. I went a few days without smoking it just because I was smoking other things. But that one right there has always been the most prevalent. Now, whether it's a gateway or not, I mean, I get it, but I would say cigarettes and alcohol are even more gateway because we would see commercials of the Marlboro Man and stuff when I was a kid. And if anything, that's a gateway before marijuana. So I don't want to put all this on the weed. But I'm just giving some transparency to my situation. I don't know my whole story. I was adopted, as some of you may know. I had an opportunity to meet my birth mother when I was 20 years old. Okay. And the night that I met my birth mother, we did meth together. She was still on it 20 all those years later. She was getting pimped out. You know, you were getting pimped out by a fat black dude right here in Reno, Nevada, over here at this crusty, musty Roach Motel. Met you in there, and we hung out and we did dope. Like, now at this point, I'd already had done it a few times. I was I was 20. It was about 4 days before my 20th birthday. Literally, it's like August 29th type shit. And we got to talking, and I've seen her a few times since then, and it's always been a party thing though. We've always done drugs together, whether it was cocaine or that. And she did admit, and my adopted mom told me this, that I was born with fetal alcohol syndrome. I didn't come out all deformed and fucked up. Maybe my brain was a little fucked up, but I pretty much was an addict baby. and they said I had traces of, coke or amphetamines in my system. Now, when I asked my birth mother about this, she admitted to doing cocaine and drinking while I was pregnant, but she would not admit to doing methamphetamine while she was pregnant. I asked her, I said, "Are you sure you didn't, like, was you doing dope?" She was like, "No, I never did ice when you were in my stomach. Now, did I do some cocaine? Yes. And that was wrong." So I don't really believe her. I don't know why people try to save face. Like, why is coke any better than meth? It's fucking same shit. It's very different, but it's like people try to make it less than what it is. It's like, no, you were an unfit mother. Thank you for putting me up for adoption or whatever, because you were a junkie, and we can leave it at that. So going back to the root of the problem, maybe, is that I was born with it in my blood. Maybe, a lot of babies that are born heroin and stuff like that, they say that's why it's so fucked up when parents do that, is because the baby is born into a withdrawal. And so you're going to kind of always have that in you since birth. And that could be what's going on here with me. Now you fast forward about 6 years onto this planet, and my adopted mother, love her, and as she said before, like, she didn't know what to do, so she listened to doctors. What do the doctors do? Oh, you got a hyper ass kid. Put him on this, put him on that. And I've kind of always, I wouldn't say I was a sad kid. I was a very happy kid. My childhood was good. Like, I don't think about any of the bad stuff that happened in my childhood unless I'm really trying to relive it and explain a story. But I was and I still am this way. Like, I'm like a morose, kind of cynical, 30-70 pessimistic kind of guy. Like, so they put me on, I believe Haldol was my first drug. Now, if you know about Haldol, that's like, they give that to fucking schizophrenic, psychotic people, right? I was on that for about 4 years. Come to find out, I should have never been on it in the first place. Haloperidol. It is a typical antipsychotic medication. Is used in the treatment of schizophrenia, tics in Tourette syndrome. That's what they gave it to me for. Mania in bipolar disorder, delirium, agitation, acute psychosis, and hallucinations from alcohol withdrawal. Okay, this is wiki. It may be used by mouth or injected into a muscle or a vein. Now, I don't like needles. I've never injected nothing in my life. I don't want to go down that route. I like to smoke and snort. Okay, that's what we do here. Um, so I've never injected any drugs. I don't fuck all that. That seems next level. Too much next level. Haloperidol typically works within 30 to 60 minutes. It may a long-acting formulation may be used as an injection every 4 weeks. Okay. Um, Now, tics and Tourette syndrome. I mean, that's what they. I didn't go. I wasn't a kid who was schizo or bipolar. I didn't have none of that shit, as far as I know. I was hyper as hell, ADD, and I had Tourette syndrome. I still do have tics. You know, about 80% of adults they grow into it. It lessens with time. But Tourette syndrome is what I have. And when I'm by myself, they get worse, but I can kind of control it, especially in front of the camera or different things. Now, drugs in general, and not sleeping, they make it worse to where I actually look like a crackhead sometimes, but I'm not. You know, I got Tourette syndrome now. Fast forward 3 or 4 years, my mom takes me to this other specialist in Salt Lake City, Primary Children's Hospital. It was an Asian dude, I remember. And as soon as he walked in the room, I remember him telling my mom, like, I could tell as soon as I walked in that he has Tourette's, but they said, why would they give him Haldol? And he was like, had this like fit. I remember he was like, oh no, we got to get him off it right away. And so they started to wean me off of it. Now, I had some withdrawals from the Haldol, and I vividly remember this. Must have been about 10 years old, and we were living in Layton, Utah at this time with my grandmother. My mother was still driving to West Wendover 2.5 hours away every day to work there and back. She was making that kind of sacrifice to keep the lights on. And I always remember that. Very hardworking woman. She just worked a lot. Single mom, you know. But I was having withdrawals. And I remember one night, and I don't know, whatever year this was, it was when the R. Kelly TP2 album came out, because that was it's still one of my favorite albums of all time. Free R. Kelly. I don't give a fuck. The man's a fucking goddamn musical legend and a genius. I don't give a damn what they do in their personal time. His music is fire. Free Kells, motherfuckers, so we can get some new tracks. But I was listening to this album, whatever, and I had this football cup holder with some pencils and pens in it on my nightstand. And I would see things, I would hear things. Maybe the Haldol gave me schizophrenia. I don't fucking know. But one night I'm laying in my bed, and I've always hated sleep since I was a kid. I don't like to go to sleep, man. I don't like to fucking sleep. Sleep's the cousin of death. I don't plan on dying anytime soon, whatever. But I don't like to go to sleep since I was a kid, whether I'm on drugs or not. I just don't like to sleep. I'd rather be up. I fucking always hated bedtime. And they've given me a bunch of shit over the years. We'll get into it. Amitriptyline. What's the other one? Starts with the S. It's for sleep. I can't even keep these shit straight. Fuck Big Pharma, by the way, at this stage. But from 6 to 18, I was constantly on medication. Sleep in my room, and my cup holder, it came to life, man. And the pencils that were sticking out, it was a very short cup holder back in the day. It shaped like a football, and it had a little pouch that hang down. And the cup holder came to life, and the motherfucking pencils and pins in that bitch turned into a claw, a dead ass claw. And it looked like that shit was like gonna reach out and fucking grab me. And I started yelling and screaming. And then at the same damn time, I'm seeing I'm seeing my third grade teacher floating in a damn UFO, like some Jetsons. This bitch is in a spaceship. And I still remember this so vividly. My third grade teacher, Mrs. Pryor, she was a cunty woman. I didn't like her. She was very mean. One of my worst teachers of all time, Miss Pryor. I never liked you. And I see her like floating in a spaceship in the room while this claw is reaching out to grab me, and I freak out and I smack the fucking the cup holder, and the pens and pencils go flying. And I don't believe my mother was home at this time. My cousin Kathy, we call her Little Kathy, she comes like running down the hall. What's going on? What's going on? And I'm crying and I'm fucking. I had a psychotic break. She takes me into the emergency or what have you, and they, I guess what's it called? Prognosis, whatever. They determined that I had a psychotic break. I was having withdrawals from coming down off of Haldol. And so that was the beginning of the my medication journey, if you will. After that, I don't know exactly what they put me on. I mean, like I said, it was a mixture between then. It was amitriptyline, Ritalin, because there's Ritalin and Adderall. I was on both. The Adderall was like about maybe 12 or 13. What's the other damn other one? We were just talking about it the other day. You know, they put me on this different stuff to try to balance me back out, control my Tourette syndrome, because it was really bad when I was a kid. Like I would hit my chest, like I would, like literally like, you know what I mean? Like shit was crazy. And so there was that, I got made fun of, different schools I went to, they were, and then I couldn't help it. And so maybe to deal with that and some of the abuse or bullying I was dealing with at certain times in my life, I went to the street pharmacy, started smoking weed at 11 years old. I remember I first took a hit or something when I was 8 or 9 in Elko, because the big boys in the block, this dude named Brandon, I don't know his last name, but it's like one of the coolest kids in the neighborhood. His name was Brandon. He was like 15, 16 years old, hella good at basketball. He was like a Tongan cat, Tongan or some sort of islander, right? Maybe half black, half fucking Samoan or some shit. I always looked up to him, and I was probably 9 or 10, right? He was cool as fuck, man. And this dude named the other homie's name, Kirby. I think his name was Kirby, white dude. But they used to like come through, see us, playing ball. And I never forget, you go to the hardware store and you buy the little elbows, connectors or whatever. It's a metal, one way and this way, it's a little elbow, a little metal connector. That's what they would smoke weed out of. Like before, you could just, I don't know. Now you just go to the smoke shop and you get a piece, right? They're selling pieces all over the place. But whatever, this was like the 90s. This motherfucker they would cut off a hose, like a garden hose, and plug in the little elbow connector to the hose. And motherfuckers just like whipping it out. And so we were all amazed. And I remember taking a hit when I was about 8 or 9. And coughing my ass off, and then they were laughing at me and shit. And I don't know, I got kind of disoriented, and that was that. But 2 years later, 11 years old, I moved to Oasis. And 1998, that was the summer that like changed my life. Because Great American, I can't even call it a town. It was more like a village in the middle of the desert. Some Breaking Bad shit, nothing but trailer homes. And that's when basically we were just running wild. That summer, I started drinking and smoking weed in the pods and hanging out with all the older kids in the neighborhood. And this was a great time. And this is one of the summer of '98 was like one of my favorite summers of all time. I mean, we were playing football every day, running around, shooting BB guns, driving four wheelers, sleeping in the tents. All the kids would get together and have sleepovers in the pods. We called them pods. It was a little grass circle with about 5 or 6 trailer homes around each pod. And there was probably 30, 35 trailer homes. All of them were full and thriving people living and working. And we had to drive 30 minutes to school. Either way, there was nothing. There was no grocery store, nothing. If you know, you know. Most people don't know what the hell is going on. But this is my story. This is the roots. This is maybe where some of this stuff is stemming from and whatnot. Now, from 11 to 14, I pretty much smoked it every, I don't know, just often. Like I was, didn't have no money or nothing back then, but you didn't need it. There was always an older kid who would like get us high or something. We would still, um, cigarettes or weed from parents' friends and all sorts of things. Wild behavior. I started setting fires. It wasn't even my first fire. I was a pyro when I was a kid. I set a couple of infamous fires. The largest one probably came, I think, 2 years before that when I was about 8 or 9. And we lit a barn on fire across the street in Elko, Nevada, 229 West River Street. You can look this up. There was a abandoned barn, and it was like the haunted barn, right? It was the craziest shit because it was dark as hell in there. We broke in one day, but the front door of this place, we would you couldn't even, it was pitch black. You'd open up I think I had a little mail slot. And you would look in and it would be pitch black, and all the kids would like hear something and would run away, freaked out. We would like throw rocks in there. And you would think that it would you would hear it like, yo, these rocks would like travel forever. And then you hear a bing. And so we were always tripped out. Like it was like a hollow floor or some shit. It was like the weirdest little house. It's not there anymore. But anyway, we set that little barn on fire. Fire department had to come out. I remember they knocked on the back door, and my mom calls me down, and there's this fire department, and I lied and I said, no, I don't know. As soon as she closes the door, she looks at me with a straight face and she's like, Cody, I'm gonna ask you one time, don't lie. Did you? And I said, yes, Mom. And I can't. She grounded me or whatever. I don't think she went back and told the fire chief or whatever. But that led to a string of like, I thought I was going to go to jail for being like a pyro. Because later, a couple of years later, me and my friend Kendall Lewis, wherever you are in the world, remember we stole, your mom used to smoke Misty 100s or some shit, those long fuckers. And we would steal cigarettes from her pack. And we had matches. And it was a windy day in the desert. And we're so stupid, right? We couldn't get the match lit because it was windy. And so I had the bright idea to light a sagebrush on fire to get a bigger fire and then light the cigarette from the sagebrush. Yeah, that worked out well. As soon as I struck that match, boy, and put it to that fucking sagebrush, I mean, that shit just dry ass leaves, right? It took off, man. I'm talking about within 45 seconds, we had a damn shit. I mean, we burned down like a 1/4 acre of fucking land or some shit, man. It took about 10, 15 minutes for the trucks to even get out there. It was a nightmare. We running back to his trailer. Fire, and his mom was freaking out. They called the fire department and everything. And I ended up going to a like a little boot camp or something for like a weekend. and had to write a letter to a judge and a bunch of crazy stuff. I think I was about 10 at that time, 10 or 11. Fast forward to this 1998 um, thing. I lit another fire and burned the side of my friend's trailer. Caught the trailer on fire, the whole side, hella damage, thousands of dollars in damage to their mobile home. Tristan Thomas, the Thomases and the Joneses. I've spoke about them briefly on the channel before. This is all factual. You can look it up, whatever. It's out there. But I want to say that was actually the last maybe time I got caught for lighting a fire. Luckily, I still love to play with fire, but I do it controlled now. I wanted to be a demolition man when I was a little kid. I remember that. I wanted to be a stunt man, and then I wanted to be a demolition man and just blow shit up. I wanted to go to school for pyrotechnics. That's what I wanted to do when I was a kid. The first thing ever was a dump truck driver, because little Tonka trucks, and you come to find out it was just a construction worker. I've driven excavators before, whatever, but I wanted to be like a pyrotechnic guy, and put on these massive displays, right, and fireworks and plant explosives and stuff. I should have kept through with that dream, but nonetheless, here we are. So I say all that to say, why at 36 years of age am I still going back and forth every so often and craving dope? Is it some childhood trauma thing? Well, there's my history. I don't know. Maybe I need a professional opinion. Was I born with it in my system? Yeah. So by default, am I always going to struggle with this issue? Possibly. But throughout my life, like I said, even when I was that young of an age, everybody was doing something. I mean, the parents, and back then too, you got to think pre-cell phone, we had landlines, but like, I know so many kids that got molested when I was younger, including myself, right? From men, women, different sources. Like the amount of dirt and darkness that truly was going on, that's why I call it desert sickness, was like next level shit, man. I remember 6 years old, backtracking, but my mom caught me fingering my friend. Her name was Michelle. She was also like, we were 6, so it's not weird then, but I just remember like always being a corrupted child. Like I had a babysitter take advantage of me when I was 6 years old, do some unwanted acts on my penis that I didn't want. I didn't know what was going on. And so it's like, and this was just, the time when I'm on medication and all that shit. So I don't know, my brain's been fucked. My mental state's been fucked since I was a kid. I have an 8-year-old son, and I know every damn thing. Like, he's so innocent compared to where I was. This kid, he likes girls and stuff, obviously, but it's like cute when because I'm like, man, you don't even know. I look at him and I'm like, I was fingering chicks 2 years I was 2 years younger than him. And then you fast forward, it's like, I remember finding a bra, like walking through the neighborhood, and there was like they used to hang their clothes on pins, and I found a bra. Don't know whose it was from, but there was this like girl that lived on the backside of my trailer, and I just in my head, I pictured that it was her bra. And I remember taking this thing home and like I would sniff it even at that young age. It's disgusting. I know it's a little cringe, but I remember smelling this bra and my mom found it in my fucking drawer and she freaked out. She's like, what's this? I was like, I found it. Like she was baffled, you know? So needless to say, I've been corrupted by sex literally since I was a fucking kid. Um, my thoughts, things that I've done, things that have happened to me. Um, I remember playing outside, coming in the back. We had lived in the trailer. It was a front and the back. I remember coming in the back door one day, and I was like quiet or whatever about it. Just wanted to go to my room, but I would walk through the hall for whatever reason, and my stepdad has a fucking porno playing in the living room, and he's jacking off. Like I remember that shit. The shit's pierced in my head. It was one of those old school like Vanessa Del Rio VHS porno tapes back in the day. And it's broad daylight. And he's an alcoholic and he's just like beating his fucking meat in the house. And he didn't even know I was there. You know, I look at shit and I get that weird feeling like, when you see something that's wrong, and you don't know, you get the little feeling in your penis and stuff. Like I remember that when I was about 8 years old, and so, and here I am, I watch porno too, but like never has my kid seen it or seen me. Like, there's ways to go about it, and you do it in your private time. I would never open him up to any of that, right? And so just crazy shit, man. Walking in and your parents, I didn't know how to explain it because I didn't really know about the whole insertion and like the real sex shit until still probably like 13, 14, you actually start like, but I remember walking in and like, see, I called it bumping bellies. Again, seeing my stepdad on top of my mom. And like, I didn't see much, but like, I remember their bellies smacking together. And and I remember I told my dad and shit, stepmom or something, and he was pissed because like, oh, you let your kid walk in on you and this and that. And I just remember they were bumping bellies. That was my term for it, bumping bellies. And but you still knew that something kind of sinister and devious was going on, and I've always got that feeling in my ball sack. So who's to say, what's wrong, what's right? Um, if anybody else has stories like that, please concur or confer. I mean, the 90s was a wild time. Shout out to Rat Haven up in the Podbean. Salute. You're just getting some wild, hairy stories tonight. And we going there. Also, 1-800-662 help. Where did it go? 1-800-662 HELP is a national drug addiction hotline. If you, a family member or a loved one are struggling, give that number a call, man. They'll lead you to the right place. Even if you're on a major come down thinking about suicidal thoughts. Oh yeah. They'll talk you through it, man. You take a cold shower, a big glass of milk, and give that number a call. And they'll at least talk you through the come down. I've had to do it myself. That's why I promote this number. Because it is real serious talks, it's real serious shit. And we try to do the best we can, but the desert sickness is real. Now let's talk about desert sickness for a minute. It's a song I did. I'll actually be releasing it on my YouTube in the next few weeks. I got 7 songs that I'm going to release, Desert Underground Volume 3. But the desert sickness, it's really a lifestyle to where I believe in my heart of hearts that, um, that evil lurks throughout the desert, specifically Nevada, Arizona, specifically Nevada, though. It's everywhere, right? Satan runs the world. But from my perspective, there's always been a very dark cloud that hangs over these small Nevada towns. We got a lot of history. There's a lot of blood on this soil from the wars that took place, from the gold rush, from the mobs, all the killings. I mean, the deserts are filled with bodies. From Vegas, they started finding bodies in Lake Mead because the damn water was um whatever that word is. I'm all over the place. I apologize. And but this place has always been plagued. They say people move their families to small towns to get away from stuff. And you go to these small towns and you find out that they're more dirty and corrupt than some of the big cities. You can find, I've had some of the wildest sex, the craziest sex stories I've ever had come from Preston, Idaho, the place where Napoleon Dynamite was filmed. Little ass dinky fucking podunk town on the border of Idaho and Utah. A population of probably not even 4,000 people. And I've had, my brother can confirm this, like we ran through that town, man. God damn. Like, I mean, and some of the people and the women, like I found more lost souls in that town than I did running the streets of Las Vegas. That's saying something. Now, it's a great town, all American town. I wouldn't mind living there, retiring one day. You just have, I guess it depends what you're looking for and what kind of lifestyle you're into. But back then, shit got wild, man. And we did a lot of dope in that town as well. So to think that you're moving your family, out of the city just for protection or safety, that's a false narrative. Some of the police chiefs and pastors from the churches are doing the most dirt in these small towns. We used to know the times of the sheriff, TK. Those who know, they know. But you remember TK and Neff, Sheriff Neff. Like, it was such a small town that we literally knew the rotation hours and what time the shift change and when we could get away with stuff. You know who's on duty at this time and who controls this area and how long they're going to take to get to this place, and all that stuff is going on in these small towns. And this was just on a very small scale of things. So I can imagine the big players at the time who were doing stuff and why they were able to get away with it for so long. And you throw in all this and the fact that our parents are working at these casinos at night and there's no father in the home, or the male figure that is in the home, he's a drug addict himself or an alcoholic, an abuser. So there wasn't much of a safety net. I grew up an only child. I did a lot of alone time, soul searching stuff, talked to myself a lot, answered myself. I would sit on the toilet or in my bedroom, wherever. And I would, it's funny I'm doing this now because I would talk to myself like if I'm being interviewed, or I would pretend I was interviewing people even when I was a kid. I guess I always wanted to do this. But I used to sit there by myself, man, and just have these conversations and with myself, God, the universe, whoever, my spirit. and that's how I would entertain myself. So let's get some music going on here. And so that's the desert sickness, you know. Everybody was plagued by something. Gambling, of course. Um, Basically, gambling, alcohol, drugs, sex, and any four that you want to flip them. I mean, that was taking place years later. Come to find out, I don't remember her name. I remember this chick named Ashley, and I believe she lived in like Montello. She was older, hella fucking cute, man. She was probably like a junior, senior, and I was like seventh, eighth grade. I used to masturbate to her every fucking day when I'd get home off the bus. I didn't know much about her, but she had the prettiest fucking teeth I've ever seen in my life. And I remember one time we're on the bus and the older kids were like joking, and but she was saying how she brushes her teeth like 4 times a day or something. Like she brushes them when she wakes up, she brushes them after she eats and leaves. She brushes them when she gets home, she brushes them when she goes to bed. She had a gorgeous mouth. And one of the older kids was saying something about basically her pretty mouth and coming on her teeth or some shit, whatever. I've heard through the grapevine, a pretty reliable source, that she was getting molested that whole time by her own father. Now, I don't know her dad. I don't know much about her. She got off on the next bus stop 20 minutes away. So, but very reliable source that had said, yeah, she was, she was being molested. And I was like, damn. And so you hear these stories of these other kids, and you come to find out that your life is good. And like that, I read in that comment, the cards I've been dealt, I am in a good place. And that's why sometimes I don't know whether to be hard on myself or not. And what is success, right? Everyone's opinion of success is different. I used to think just finding a happy medium was success. In terms of being able to control my thoughts and my attitude. I went through from 14 to 17, I got a little worse because my mental state really started to go to shit. And I remember having like extreme suicidal thoughts, not wanting to be here, very depressed, short temper. I remember on multiple occasions, like storming out of the house. One time, one of my other mom's boyfriends, he tried to stop me. I remember pushing him, and we got into a little physical altercation. I think I was watching a show about tattoos, some documentary or something about tattoos, and he told me to change it, and I said no. And he said that's not, and he was against tattoos. And I remember I fucking picked up the controller and I threw it at his head. Wow! Bam! Cocked his ass in the motherfucking head, and he, what the fuck? And he got up and like I pushed him and shit, and fuck you, and I just like kind of scuffled my way out of the door, slammed the door. I took the car keys and I dipped off. I had my permit at the time. Maybe I had my license. I'm not sure, but I remember taking the car and driving, man. And that was a beautiful time. This was in Las Vegas because I remember driving. Like I remember Vegas before it was Vegas. I mean, Vegas in the mid 2000s, early 2000s. There were so many back roads. I wouldn't even know how to get there. I'm sure they've built over this shit by now, but I remember we lived like kind of like Henderson, but the strip was only like 8 minutes away or 10 minutes away, and I could dip the back roads. And there was like dirt. There was like dirt lots and shit back then. It wasn't built up like it is now. And I drove all over the night. And I remember I found myself kind of on the outskirts of town on this hill. I've never been able to find it. I don't know where the fuck I was. But I parked the car and I walked. I was like walking up late at night on this hill. And I overlooking the whole damn city. You're seeing the lights. And it was so peaceful and serene up there. There was no police activity, no nothing. There was no people up there. And it was right there in the city, but not. Just above the city on some hill up there. And I cleared my head and I came back hours later. My mom was home. I don't know how she got home. I can't remember. I think we only had the one car at the time, but she was home. They were pissed. And she was going to file if I didn't come home that night, she's like, I was going to file a missing persons report or something. Crazy. I did that on numerous occasions, just short fuse, short temper, banging my head against the wall, stupid shit. Remember banging my head against the washer and dryer one time, sitting there in the laundry room. Just kept hitting my head against it, This stupid shit. But luckily, I always had a hard head, but I always had a pretty decent head, man. And I don't have none of those issues anymore. Anger, whatever. I keep that shit bottled up. I'm just waiting for a motherfucker, man. Oh, I'm just waiting for a motherfucker. I don't want no trouble, no harm. But like, I'm the wrong dude to like be in the store and you think you're gonna prank me, or if I'm at my bar late at night and somebody comes in and like wants to rob the joint or something, or oh boy, motherfucking Hulk's gonna come out and I'm gonna let all my aggression out. Like I'm just waiting. I'm that guy. Like I'm like a ticking time bomb, right? So maybe that's not good either, but I feel like every man has that in him. When we see bullshit, we'll call it out and we'll stand on business. We'll step up for ourselves and other people. Like I wish I would walk in on a chomo doing something to a kid or something. I don't wish I would, but like that would be the end of him at that moment. Like that would just be the end of it. Street justice, whatever. That's where that rage comes from. I keep it bottled up. Just waiting for a motherfucker, man. And luckily, I really don't have no issues like that. Bullshit doesn't come my way often. And when it does, I've handled it. Hour in, I'm not even drinking. Let's take the first shot. So I decided to go in a little more depth tonight because as Lupe was saying, talk about the mask. Why you mask the problem. Talk about the real problems. I feel like I already be doing that, but I feel like I needed to give a little more in-depth perspective on my life story. Maybe that will answer some reasons, because I'm not just a psychopath up here, typical loser doing the drugs or whatever. There's a reason, right? A reason behind everything. A reason behind people do what they do. And I'm not going to pay for no damn therapy. I'm too cheap for that shit. So this is my therapy night rants, baby. Episode 104. Be sure to check out the show every Saturday, Sunday on WDJYFM.com. Yes, baby. live internet radio, 18 markets throughout the Southeast. Yeah. Shout out to Mr. Just popped in the Podbean studio. What's good, sir? We over here talking about crystal meth use and a few other things. And trying to get to the root of the issue. Why do we do what we do? I'm drinking again myself, he says. Hey, man, salute to you. I just took my first shot of the night. New Amsterdam vodka. And it's all good, man. No shame in our game, you know. Now, there could be some shame. There's always shame in being a drug addict. I mean, that's where it stems from, right? When you're coming down and you, I'm never gonna do it again. I feel like shit. I'm trying to get better. And then you can only be better for so long before you find that goddamn monkey clawing at your back. Now, I've been able to refrain for, like I said, 28 months. I went 28 months without doing dope. But I knew after my birthday, every year I get this like seasonal depression type bullshit. I hate using that word, but I get dark in the wintertime. And it's always every winter, like a new piece of pussy comes around. I swear to God, I don't even go looking for bitches. The shit will just appear. It's almost like the devil himself just taunts me swear to God, every October, November, I find myself cheating or in some sort of marital spout. I find myself meeting a new plug or something. Like I can call that shit, man. Effing and pineapple juice. That's what's up, man. I used to fuck with that effing heavy. Shout out to 50. You know, shout out to 50 and the effing. We got the vodka and blue raspberry lemonade, simply lemonade. That's how we're doing it tonight, sir. Thank you for tapping in. But yeah, and so I actually thought I was gonna have my little relapse before the end of the year, but it didn't turn out that way. I went 2 months of I did some bumps of cocaine, you know, here and there, a line or two, like November, December. But the coke is like trash nowadays. And the last time I did cocaine was 28 months ago as well, when I went to Mexico. And it was the best shit I've had since 2010. I mean, that shit down there, boy, is like cut. I mean, not cut at all. I mean, the further north it goes, it gets stepped on. But anyway, I'm not, you know, the coke is I can at least go to sleep on that shit. I'm not up for days on cocaine, you know. And after a damn half a gram, my fucking nose gets clogged up anyway, and I just get a headache, and I feel like shit anyway. So I'm like, God damn. For me, it really is the methamphetamines, whether it be Adderall or methamphetamine itself. The cocaine for me is like a byproduct. But of course, if I drink a little too much, I want to smoke a cigar and I want to do a little bump to level me back out. And I know a lot of people like this. I have a cousin, you know, same way. When he starts, he's fine. He'll go live a sober life. But once you start drinking, then you got to have a cigarette. And then you got to, you know, then you start drinking, you have 2 cigarettes. Now you want a line of cocaine or something. And now we're just back in the abyss. So that's what we're discussing here and putting a little perspective on it. If you have anything furthermore to chime in as well, please feel free to do so, as well as any of the YouTube viewers. This is a subject people want to stay away from. I have a feeling every time I post something about drugs, like motherfuckers get quiet and shit. But that's fine. Like I said, I'll be the martyr. I'll put myself on the chopping block, and you can live either vicariously through me or through me. But I ain't the only one, man. I know middle-aged white women well-to-do white women that are functioning meth addicts, and you couldn't even tell. You literally couldn't tell. It don't just take away your teeth and look at these fucking teeth. I got nice ass teeth. They're a little yellow. They're a little stained. They look white as shit on the camera though. But you know, that's the thing about drugs too. It doesn't do the same thing for everybody. I've known many of functioning meth addicts my entire life. I mean, that's just what we deal with here in Nevada. And I'm sure it's like that and wherever the hell you're listening to this from. But I can only speak from my experience. And not that if you're functioning, it's any better. Those people are still living a life of slavery and misery as well. But what's the difference between that and the wife that has a glass of wine every night after she comes home, puts the kids to bed, but she got to go to sleep on that wine? Where's the line to say, oh, she's a better person than this dude who smokes meth and does construction? But he's up all day, he's working in his shop at 4 a.m. and he don't bother nobody. It does deteriorate your brain, but there's certain things, and it just depends on a person's spirit to start out with. Like, I'm generally I'm a decent human being, so the drugs aren't going to take me off into this land of extra sick thoughts, and I do stuff that I'm usually wouldn't do. It just doesn't do that. I do them for a specific reason, to fill a certain pleasure sector of my brain, or to fill an actual chemical need that I feel I need in my body. When them drugs hit you, man, like when you take that hit, it's you know what it does, and it just does what it does, and it puts you at peace with whatever inner turmoil you're dealing with at that time. Let's see. Yeah, I miss the money I was making off that white. Yeah, man, I was never really consumer, more into distribution. Yeah, man. Yeah, white label distribution. Yes, sir. Yeah, and see, I was never much into the distribution. I knew a lot of distributors that I was cool with, but I'd break rule number 1, man. I'm getting high off my own supply like a motherfucker, man. That's why I couldn't even never sell weed. I could never sell weed. I tried selling weed, man, and I was like, and at my highest, I was barely just smoking for free. I was like, how do you make money off this shit? I had a homeboy, that motherfucker making thousands, right, off of weed back in the day before it was like water. And but he was just good. He was a Jew. He's a real life Jew, so he was just good with money and stuff. And he never smoked as much as we did. He went a lot of years not smoking at all. And so I never could understand that. I was a horrible drug dealer. I'm too fucking paranoid as it is. And it's just too much work. I remember one time, man, I came up, I had a little peaser, right? And I let a few people know, hey, put the word out, man. I got the shit. I got so annoyed with the fucking texts and the phone calls that, I didn't even last like a month, man. I was like, you know what? Like, fuck this. Every time I'd sit back down, somebody, yo, I need a 20. This is when we were selling twomps, right? Twomp. And I'd sit down, motherfucker, and get a text, yo, I need a 20. God damn. And then motherfuckers don't want to come to you. And so I find myself, I'll meet me at the corner store right here. Boom, 15. This other bitch, oh, so-and-so, can you drive over here? And I was like, God damn. Between gas and my time, being a drug dealer, fucking stupid. Sucked balls, at least for me. So I'm glad I never got into that much. I just knew myself. I'd rather do them. I want to do them and chill and do what I want to do. But yeah. Crazy times. It was a good time. um, where do we go from here? You know, this is Therapy Night Rants episode 104 coming to you live. I know I said last week's show was so pitiful. It was just pitiful from both ends, from my mental state, my spiritual well-being, and from a audio technical standpoint. The show was glitchy from the start. It was almost like a sign, but we're coming back stronger tonight. Let me keep it extra real. Like, I've been doing the dope basically for like 10 days. I'm not on it currently. I actually got some sleep a little bit this morning, and I finally slept for about maybe 8 hours last night. But when I buy a bag, like my girl will be fucking pissed at me, man. If I can even call her that right now. We're kind of on the fritz, but she's always my girl. I don't give a fuck. But she was so mad when I came home, and I told her, I said, baby, you know what I'm saying? I got some shit. And she knows what time it is. Like, she's like, fuck. Like, this fool's going to be, you know what I'm saying, in commission, but I'm out of commission. Like, I'm here, but I'm not there, right? And that's where I feel bad about. It's like, I'm a fucking dad and stuff, and I don't feel good about it. But it's my addiction and stuff. And, like, I still handle my biz. I still pick them up from school, everything. I still was playing out in the snow. You know, I still show him time, but in my heart of hearts, I know that I'm still not me, and I don't like that part. But I handle my biz, right? And the drugs are more powerful at that moment anyway, so it doesn't matter. I'm gonna do them when I want to do them. And so, you know, I'd gotten a bag, and this was a fat ass bag. I don't see, man. I don't want to incriminate myself too much, but like, I'd found this bag, right, of some stuff, and like, it was a fat baggie for like a low. And I'm like, goddamn. So they're charged, and so Christina and then Lohan, right? So what they want the Lohan, it'd be like 80, 100 for like some stepped on powdery bullshit. The Christina, yo, little teaser for like half that, right? Big ass icebergs and shit. And so I was like, God damn, I got too much. But for me, being an addict, like, when I want to relapse on this shit, like, I do the bag to completion. So for me, I can go whatever. I might go another 6 months. I might go another year without doing it. But while I have the bag is the bag. Like, I'm not done until that bag is done. I can't just put it away, or I can, but like, it's still there. So for me, I do the shit until completion. Like, I go balls to the wall. I don't know about saving it and yeah, you know, no, there's no saving nothing. Like, the bag is the bag. You finish the bag, no matter what. That's when it's all over. Because if I'm just I'm cool, and I did that. Like, I went to sleep, and I woke up again, and I was like, fuck, I still got a fuckload more left. And so it would just be in the back of my head until it's gone. Now I'm not going to, make no more calls, or I'm not going to find any more bags laying around the streets because they're everywhere. But like, that's part of my thing. So when she was like, are you doing it again? Are you on it again? I'm like, I've never been off of it. Like, and she like, the bag's the bag, babe. Like, that's what I do. You know, and so I am proud to say that the bag is long gone, and I'm back to normal somewhat. I always say, however many days you're up, it takes triple that to get back to normal. So, if you go on a 3-day binger, I mean, it's going to literally take you about 9 days to get back to normal. That's how much damage it does to your body and your brain. It's just what it is. My muscles hurt. Mainly just my muscles, man. My body be aching. My muscles are going into atrophy. Stomach, you're losing weight. And then now I got a big ass appetite. So I'm putting all my calories back that I lost. It's a terrible thing, but that's what it is, kids. You know, people talk about it. We watch movies, right? Everyone thinks it's cool. They're still promoting drug use in every damn show. And this is the reality of it, though. I'm here to tell you the real. Whether you've done it or you've never done it or you don't have no reason to do it, then don't do it. But I'm giving my 2 cents and my experiences because I think it's valid. And I've done the best with the best, man. And there's a certain way you got to control yourself. That's the main thing. They say drink responsibly. Well, do anything responsibly. Snort responsibly. Twist responsibly. God damn it. Have your potassium on deck. Couple Gatorades and a banana, and a half a fucking Zanny bar or some NyQuil. You know what I mean? Take your power naps. Like you got to force feed yourself food and water. You got to. That's the only way to maintain on this devil's nightmare. Harry's drinking again. We don't want to encourage anybody, but if you're gonna partake in this world, just know how to maneuver, how to operate. I think I learned that a little too well. You got to find a solid 9-10 consistent people who want a good amount every time. That's facts. Got me going over there for a damn 20 or an eighth. Ain't that a bitch? I couldn't even imagine being a weed seller on 2024. I mean, with the states that it's legalized in, you got your rabbit ass mind. First of all, everybody would have to come to me. I wouldn't go nowhere with that shit, man. I ain't driving nowhere, serving nobody. What a horrible life to be a dealer in 2024, though. Cameras everywhere. I don't know. Maybe it's easier, though. Maybe it's even easier because police don't give a damn. There's not enough police to even pull people over anymore. So and maybe it's even better. Who knows? But it seems like a nightmare to me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, back then you didn't have to, like, there wasn't cell phones how there was mid 2000s. Like now you got to worry about, I don't know, a bitch coming over, she's on live, right? The bitch might be on live. Hold on right quick. Hold on. I'm fit to meet my dude. She might put her phone in her purse and you're on live. I've seen that before, actually, first fucking hand. I couldn't believe it. Like, put the phone in your purse. She's not trying to incriminate him, but just literally like the amount of paranoia that I would feel these days would be beyond. Like I'd go old school, like, bitch, leave your phone in the car, like text me when you're out front, go up to the door, knock 3 times, turn around, tap your heels, say a magic word or something. Like, man, it'd be too much. So, but yeah, going forward, we just gotta try to refrain and do better. And I'll be honest, like, it kind of worries me because I'm back in a place where it's so prevalent. The last few years, and I don't even look for it. It's just I be a bartender, and so like I'm privy to a lot of information that I shouldn't be privy to. So I'm always meeting somebody coming in, motherfuckers trying to tip me in drugs and weed and shit like that. Oh man, so I ain't got but I got a couple joint. Like, should be wild, man. Even though I've been bartender like 7 years, I mean, I guess I was in a place where I was in a better place. Now I'm kind of doing this freelance thing, and I'm here and I'm there, different venues and different dive bars and stuff. And so I just be knowing too much, and and it's usually offered to me. Like I don't know if I got a sign on my forehead that says "feed me," but motherfuckers just be so open with me, and I just get offered stuff, and that's the hard part for me. Is like, because if I don't got your number, I don't know nothing. If I don't know where to get, I don't know nothing. But when it's like pussy, when it's like thrown at you, it's so hard to turn it down. You know, I turned down some pussy the other night, but I was coming off my shit, and my dick still wasn't working properly. And I, you know, I just wasn't that horny at the time. Now, damn, I wish I would have got that bitch's number though, because like could have just went and fucked her in the bathroom or something. Like literally, it was wild, man. It was wild times. And she was kind of annoying, but and I wasn't really feeling her, you know. But I think back and I'm like, nah, that was I was very agitated that night. I was on a little something again, and I was just like, was so annoyed. I didn't want to be there. But that shit was offered to me, man. Like, I'd rock your world, this and that. I'm like, I bet you would, baby girl. And she wasn't really tipping or gambling, so I didn't give a fuck about that bitch. You know, she wasn't breaking no bread at the bar, so. And she was talking reckless, hella reckless, and it kind of turned me off. White girl saying the N-word and shit. I was like, oh, this bitch. I thought about hate fucking her, though. I thought about fucking her like an old runaway slave and shit. And just hate fucking the shit out of her. You know what I'm saying? I mean, to each their own, but a white girl claiming to be a nigga, like she was literally like, I'm a nigga, like, and I get her mentality because you don't have to be black to be a nigga, but like when you're talking about a nigga, like that comes with a certain mindset, not the but a nigga, like that's a certain mindset. And I was like, damn, this bitch is lost as fuck. Like, where's her white daddy? Like, if only her white daddy could listen to this bitch's mouth right now. Like, you raised a bitch who thinks she's a nigga. That is crazy. So that instantly turned me off. Just her mouth and her mind. I was like, oh, this is a trash ass bitch. But I bet she fucked like crazy, sucked some mad cocks. So she comes into the bar next Sunday. We might have to revisit this conversation. But either way, hate fucking. See, that's some mean shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's some evil shit. I'll show you a lesson, bitch. You want to be down? Okay. But yeah, that was a little bit of my week this week. Just kind of recovering, you know? This is the recovery episode, the comeback episode, whatever you want to call it. And as we do every week here on the show, we highlight my life, we highlight the week in review, and I live my truth here on the mic. Hopefully you find it entertaining, informative, or get something out of it, even if it's a laugh or some real knowledge. I honestly can't say that I won't spin a puddle or two this weekend. I can't honestly say that, like, oh, I'm not gonna do it again. I can try. But there's another addiction beyond that, and it's the sex and the porn addiction. Without pornography, I probably wouldn't even. I would be less susceptible to doing methamphetamines. Nobody wants to talk about this, but the symbiotic relationship between amphetamines and pornography is like hand in fucking hand. It goes together like peanut butter and jelly, you know. And it's the focus factor. It just makes you focus, right? So I guess before I knew about the pornography, like I used to write a lot. when I was a rapper. And I'd sit there and I'd write for hours and shit, fucking days. Like I'd sit there and I'd write for like 12 fucking hours. Like literally, like I'll put on a beat. I'd have the beat on repeat for at least like 2-3 hours. No dead ass. Sitting there, not even moving, fucking mouth just stuck. We were smoking the blue Smurf back then, the really good shit. The shit that cracked back and it has a little blue tinge in it. It has some violet shit too. Motherfuckers don't know about that violet shit. And so you ain't never smoked no violet shit. I don't want to hear nothing, okay? With your little black ass, burnt ass pipes, fucking nasty ass shit that you guys be doing. But, and a good friend told me, you know, he said, don't ever bust a nut on this shit, homie. Yo, fuck your life up. And of course, what am I gonna do? What are you talking about, man? And then the one time I was about maybe, had to be about 19, 20. I met this chick, man. She was a smoker too, big titties, sexy bitch. And she like broke it down with me. We were smoking together and shit. And like we just got to talking and everything. And she put on some porno, man. And like she just got horny on this shit, man. And then I started watching it. And then I started to get this feeling in my dick, in my balls. And I was like, fuck. And we started to watch porn together. And that became our thing. We would just smoke dope, watch porn and shit. And like play with each other, play with ourselves and shit. And oh god, it was like I can't even explain it, man. Like it's fucking powerful shit. And then we would fornicate with each other, and but there was a certain, I guess, like I would say respect, or there's a certain understanding when you're on both our drugs. You're not physically all there and you're not mentally all there, so there's a little bit of time that takes, and there's like a patience with each other, and we're both fixated on the drugs first and each other last. And so it was a beautiful thing though. She taught me a lot about, I guess, actually having sex on methamphetamines, you know. And ever since that bitch, I've been kind of like corrupted. Like I can't have sex with a chick if I'm on that shit. I can't have sex with somebody who's not on it, because I feel like I feel completely out of my element. Like this chicken, she ain't gonna know what's going on. She ain't gonna, like, you know what I mean? You gotta be with somebody that's on the same wavelength as you. Oh yeah, and that's when she used to put shards in her asshole. That's when I found out about that shit. Yeah. Yeah. Put meth in her booty hole and dissolve that shit, or shake it up in a little you know, a little, not a turkey baster, but just like a, you know, a little syringe that you get like from little cough medicine. And she used to, oh my god. And I swear to god, about you gonna give that bitch 5 minutes, 15 minutes, man. Coochie's leaking, and she like turning in like a possessed, like something demonic, like a sex demon entered her body after she inject this meth in her booty hole, man. And she go to sucking and slurping and fucking, Jesus Christ, man. A disgusting world. It's a disgusting world. I hope she's in a better place in her life, because I don't know what that girl turned out to be. It was wild. I met two of them like that. One years later. Me and my boy Black Sox used to run trains on her. She would go from his room to my room. We'd start out with her together, and then eventually get tired or whatever, finish, and then like either he would go wash off and shit. It was a disgusting time. I know I'm not proud of it, but like it's what happened. And she might lay there with me for a couple hours and would hit the pipe again or something, and then she would get up, and then like I'd fall asleep, and then I would just wake up and hear them fucking, and it was a while, bro. We just passed this chick like back and forth, and she was cool with it. I mean, she was like a live-in tweaker girlfriend for the both of us. It was wild shit, man. And she as well. She would smoke it and she would shoot it up. I never wanted to see her shoot up. I said, nah, bitch, go tie up in the bathroom. I don't even want you injecting nothing in front of me. Like, I always told her that shit. She would go in between her toes too, and wild cunt, man. I never personally seen her inject nothing. I don't want to see that. That's next level junkie status to me. I just wanted to keep it on the cool, but I yeah. Should do the booty shoots too, man. And she would just be turned out for days. The sad thing was that was some of the best coochie I fucking had. It was kind of weird, but it had this fucking elasticity to it, like her pussy literally felt weird and different, and I don't know if that was like the drugs contracting the pussy walls and stuff like that, but it was very interesting vagina. I mean, just the buoyancy and the like, mm, very interesting. And I think she was kind of early on her addiction because she looked good too. This wasn't no trash ratchet bitch. Like she looked pretty decent, nice body and everything. Um, so again, hopefully she found her way. But little do I know, she could still be battling through her addiction right to this very day. And she might be pimped out. She might be dead. And to be honest, like I wouldn't. I don't think I would do that these days. I'm not fucking with no other dudes. My train days are long gone. This was all in my 20s, like where I guess I didn't know any better. I truly didn't care. Um, but the whole sexual stuff, I'm kind of I'm hella scared nowadays. You know, I just kind of pick and choose and hope for the best. But yeah, at least I'm getting better on there. Trying to get a little more aware. I'm not putting I used to risk my life for the P, like literally risk my life. Go to fucking chicks' houses and shit. Remember one time I was gonna be set up. I met this bitch on a dating app, and I knew better, but I was just high and horny. She had me driving to like North Las Vegas and shit, somewhere in the hood, off a damn down there behind fucking what was it, Tropicana. I think behind it might have been like MLKD Street type shit, some shit down there in the Gets. And as we got there, her messages started to change up, and she sent me a little address, and I'd pull up there, and she would change it again, like, nah, just go around here, and I called the bitch back, and I said, what the fuck you trying to do, ho? Like, nah, it's all good. It's just my baby daddy doesn't know. Fuck that. You trying to set me up, bitch, bud? And yeah, I got the hell up out of there, man. Car followed me for a little bit because what I noticed was she told me to go to one location, and then she told me, oh, but no, you have to go down a little bit, make that left turn. When I made that left turn, like I'm looking at everything, and I just see like a random black car, somebody in it. Lights aren't on, no, they're not on their phone, nothing. And then I turned down that street, and then I called, and she didn't answer. And that's when my spidey senses, hell no, I'm going to flip this bitch around right now. Pulled out, car comes out behind me and shit. Speed up, make a couple turns, and fucking like I got myself out of that situation. But I used to do stupid shit like that, man. But I always listen to my intuition and my spirit, and that saved me a lot from getting in buffoonery. We got 500 views on the reel. Yeah, shout out Lupe Mendez though. Thank you for that input earlier. I'm trying. But you can't try without being completely honest and like just let people know. Now I want to continue to make great content here on the channel. Put out new content and stuff. But I don't want nobody to think that I'm some like straight edge guy or some guy that doesn't partake still. I didn't for a long time, but like I said, the craving's always there. I fight different things every day. And now that I got this platform, it helps keep me away from them because I have a commitment every week. But last weekend, I just fucking said, fuck the commitment. I said, I'll do the show regardless. And it turned out to be horrible. So I just want people to really, really understand. And I'll be making some clips out of this live here. And it'll be great content. The shorts are killing it. The short form is really good for just getting little points across. It doesn't really highlight the whole story. People have to go do their own research on that. Sorry. But that is my therapy, baby. Therapy night. Rants. Now, I want to play one video before I get out of here. Let's see if I can find it again because I had it, but I fucked it around and lost it. And let me see. It's basically someone's testimony about crystal meth. And so there's so many of them. I can't here, let's go. We're gonna play this real quick, actually, because the world gotta know. The world gotta know these things. Yeah, we're gonna play it.
Really bright and intelligent, but didn't apply myself in school. Around 6th grade, I started experimenting with drinking and smoking marijuana. Freshman year of high school, I was introduced to many different drugs, hard drugs like cocaine and all the other drugs I tried. I never
Story sounds like mine so far.
Really had a connection with, but when I tried meth for the first time, it hit a spot with me, and I could tell that there was like an attraction there to that. I was on medication when I was younger, a lot of ADHD medication, so the meth kind of like calmed me out and mellowed me out at first, so it became easy to...
Jesus Christ, that's exactly what I was just saying, y'all. That's exactly what the fuck I was explaining. It's almost like Big Pharma programs your ass to be an addict later in life, man.
Use it on a daily basis. All throughout high school, I used meth, as well as other drugs, but primarily meth. When I graduated high school, I didn't have plans to go to college. I was working odd jobs. My meth abuse really got out of control. I went from using on the weekends, like I did in high school, to using out of control every day. My weight dropped from close to 200 pounds down to maybe 160 pounds. Noticeable amount where, you know, my family was concerned. I really wasn't ready to admit that there was a problem because I thought I had control of it because I always worked the job, paid for my drugs, even though I probably lived in and out of my parents' house and friend's house. A few years after high school, I realized my problem was getting out of control, and I thought maybe it was the neighborhood I lived in or the community I lived in or my friends. Decided to change my life, and I went into the Marine Corps when I was 20 years old. Did a lot of drinking, was in the Marine Corps for 5 years. Being off meth, I was able to really focus on my life, get married, have a child, go to college. After 5 years, I was disabled out of the Marine Corps. And at that point, I got out, finishing my last semester of college, have another child, married. I moved back to the same neighborhood where I grew up, and I started doing the same thing. At this point, my life was different because I had a great career. I graduated college, I had a BS degree in computer science. I started doing IT work, and it provided really well for my family. But getting back to the same neighborhood and never addressing my issue of addiction, I continued to spiral back out of control and went into all the same behaviors that I had before. Stayed in California for a couple years and decided, much like before, that I needed to get out of that neighborhood. I needed to get out of that environment. Thinking that was going to solve my problem with the drugs. I moved to Phoenix, Arizona, and the drug use just continued even worse. I was good at my job, so I felt like I wasn't doing anything wrong. You know, I paid for my drugs by working. I made a very good living, provided for my family, house, kind of like the whole picture that you see, the beautiful wife and kids in private school, wife staying at home, husband working a job, paying for everything they need. But really, it's inside I'm empty. I can barely control my drug addiction, and it takes over my whole life and affects my family negatively. The problem gets worse and worse. Soon, work starts to have a problem. I get arrested for a drug charge, and the job that I had requires you to have a clean record, and I get a drug charge and I lose my job. And at that point, that's where my addiction really spiraled out of control. At this point, my family was intervening. They wanted me to try to get help. I don't know where to get help, and I think that I don't need help. I'm so lost. Really like a lot of meth-induced psychosis, staying up for days and even weeks on end. And then my use spiraled so far out of control without my job to control me and my life. I became severely addicted to drugs, lost our house, our car, moved into a smaller house. My wife at the time started working to take care of the kids, and at some point I made a decision, I say consciously, but really in a drug-induced haze. I started doing burglaries, breaking into abandoned buildings and stealing the copper wire out of it to take it to the scrapyard. So my charge went from not being able to get a job because I had a drug charge, but being able to possibly get a job, to not taking any recommendation to get help. And before I know it, I have multiple burglary charges, and I'm looking at decades possibly in prison. That still wasn't enough to stop me. I would get out of jail and I would do it again. The state finally decided to put a GPS bracelet on my leg so they can control where I'm at, because I would dodge the one in the car, and my wife had to get an order of protection against me. I wasn't allowed to see my kids, my wife, lost everything, couldn't even begin to get a job.
Hopefully, Podbean, you can hear this as well. We're playing a testimony. Let's see.
I got addicted to crystal meth when I was 13 years old. I went to go get some pot, and he was like, I don't have any pot right now, but I have this stuff called speed.
Holy smokes, that's vastly different.
Right.
Okay.
I was like, okay, I'll try it. And I went home and I tried it by myself, and I loved it. It was like what's that movie where the guy takes the pill?
Limitless?
Yes. It was like Limitless for me.
Wow.
I got addicted to crystal meth when I...
So I'm just playing some of these to let people know, like, everybody has a story. Everyone's got their own testimony. I kind of just, early on in the show was kind of like my testimony in a way.
I took a hit, and for the next 24 hours, I was just up. I remember a few days later, I was recovering, and I remember going to him, and I asked him, I was like, what was that we smoked the other night? And he said it was meth. But that high was so addicting that I didn't care, and I said, can we get more? And he said yes. And that's when just a full-blown addiction started. For the next year of my life, I was just heavily involved in meth every single day, just smoking it day and night. I was up for weeks at a time. You wouldn't eat. I lost like 20 pounds. You start deteriorating everything in you. You just start dying on the inside. I took a hit, and
that's pretty much that's pretty that's pretty good.
crystal meth as an evil, evil drug.
It's readily available, it's cheaper.
The biggest impact of any stimulant drug on the reward and pleasure system in the brain.
It makes you feel good.
This is approximately an ounce of meth.
Currently, it's one of the most common ones that we encounter as a street drug in Manitoba.
Sad, scary.
Easy to get.
Well, think of the best you ever felt in your life and multiply that about 100 times. That's how you feel when you're using methamphetamine or crystal meth. Now do the opposite. When you're crashing off of meth, the worst you've ever felt in your life, multiply that 100 times. We're talking suicidal depression when people come in.
71% of the women that come to detox are primarily methamphetamine users, and about 56% are men in the men's detox that are saying that their preferred drug of choice is methamphetamine.
We ended up finding cigarettes that were lit all over the place that were his.
People can become agitated, aggressive, paranoia. It's feeling threatened all the time.
I did a lot of things in order to get meth. If you had something shiny in your pocket and I wanted it, I'd just hit you in the head with a bat. Take it. No thought or concern about you or the $20 that I just stole out of your pocket.
Violent crime is not especially associated with methamphetamine use.
There's a stigma associated with methamphetamine that is through the roof. And the focus out in the community is always on the psychosis. Psychosis would happen maybe 2 out of 10 meth users. My personal opinion is not enough focus is placed on the individual that's suffering that depression. These are the people that die. Because when they're crashing, guilt comes into it, shame comes in from it.
Yes.
I'm just a druggie, I'm just a meth addict. The depression hits every meth user.
Usually they present to us in a place of crisis, some psychotic episodes. We like to protect them from the illnesses that may be caused due to injecting drugs and so on. So that's where the harm reduction piece really comes in, is to keep themselves from harm. It used to be a couple of years ago 500,000 needles Winnipeg wide. Now it's 1.5 million a year that are being handed out. We alone hand out about 5,000 a month. Meth is so difficult for people to quit. Only about 17% who quit are still successfully sober.
I just don't think that all the treatment programs in the world are gonna help somebody that's wrung out on meth. And there's only one way, that's to get rid of the problem, is to get rid of the meth.
Yo, we back? Yo, we back? All right. A little technical difficulty, but yeah, I just wanted to play that there, and just to give a little more broad perspective of things, man. There's a lot of people might not be aware. A lot of stories starting out young, and that seems to be. I'm gonna do me a nice clip. I have the Crystal Methina interview, but I want to make me one of these clips, give me a nice 1 million views and shit. This guy talking about meth psychosis. I've been there, definitely been there. Let's watch this. This is good right here.
Your peripheral Like, you just know that there's someone sitting in the corner right now and they're staring at you, and you can't look over there because you're just gripped in fear.
Wow. Wow.
So typically what it would look like when I would use meth is I knew that the next 7 to 10 days are going to be used up because I'm going to stay awake the whole time. And at that point, you can't be around other people.
So that right there, just off top, is a perfect example. Like, when I do meth, I know, like, at least the next day or two is fucked. And I don't want to be around people. I'm very private, and I like to do it in my own time.
Because they'll know instantly what's going on. So I knew when I was using meth, I knew that after day 3, I had to remember that everything I was thinking was insane. I couldn't believe my thoughts because my mind would tell me crazy things. And then after day, like, maybe into day 4, I'd start hearing the soundtrack, so you could hear music in the back of your head that would just play over and over. Like, if you walk down the street and you see, like, those people that look homeless and they're talking or singing to themselves, they actually, like, hear music, and they hear people talking to them. So, like, when I was walking down the street and I'd be, like, singing a song, in my head the song was real, like, it was actually playing. You could sit, I'd say day 4, day 5, you could start seeing the shadows. So you'd be sitting, like, in the bathroom and you'd see shadows walk back and forth on the other side of the door. So almost as if someone was walking down the hall and then walking back and then walking down the hall. And then you add into that, like, whispering voices, so you can hear people, like, talking out there, and they're talking about you every single time. And it's
damn, this is scary as fuck. I'm getting goosebumps. Okay, so when was it? I want to say, I think it was on last Thursday night, Friday morning. Dead fucking ass. I'm laying in the room. My girl's in the room with our son. I'm in the bed alone, naked and afraid, watching some porn on my phone, just scrolling endlessly. And I swear to God that her or someone walked past the door. And I heard the other door open, and I was like, what the fuck? And went out there. She's in the room. She didn't leave. She didn't go anywhere. That is fucking facts. And always people talking about you.
I remember multiple times I would, like, leave shoes in the corner of my room, and when the lights were off, I'd, like, literally see people standing there staring at me, and it was terrifying. So much to the point where I remember the girl that I lived with, we were in severe psychosis together for a long time. And, like, what that looks like in a trailer when you're in psychosis is that you can't go in the bathroom when she's in there, and she's usually in there for 4 to 6 hours out of the day, usually 3 or 4 hours in the morning just doing eyebrows. And it's like, it seems it'd be easy to, like, smile or laugh at, but it's not funny. Like, I'm talking, like, standing 6 inches from a mirror trying to pluck every last, like, hair and make it perfect, because in meth psychosis everything is super amplified. Like, you want everything to be whatever way you think it needs to be, and that could take 6 or 8 hours. I used to sit for 8 hours and try to give myself a haircut, and I could never, like, reach the back, but I am serious. I would stand with, like, a mirror this close and, like, a razor blade that I made and try to cut my hair, like, to the perfect lines. I remember going in the bathroom one day, and she believed that I was filming her, that I was recording what was going on in the bathroom. And so she had hung towels over the mirrors, over the vents, over the door, over the windows, over the shower curtain. Everything was like boarded up and closed off. And it was just insane. Meth for me was, every drug for me was the answer. It wasn't the problem. I was the issue. I didn't realize that. So when I would feel upset or worried or anxious or happy or glad or sad or any of those things, drugs made it better. I mean, every single time, they were the solution to my problem. I didn't have to feel. I mean, shoot, if life was really bad, meth gave me 10 days where I didn't have to think about it. And I would worry about it later on when I came back. I mean, if I'm not taking responsibility for my own actions, then I'm gonna go as hard as I can for as long as possible until the floor falls out, and then I'll deal with it later. That's the way I live my life, was 120% right now, and I'll pick up the pieces down the road if I ever get there. I never believed I'd live long enough to have to pick up the pieces. I thought somebody else would just put the nails on the box and bury me underground. I mean, I was never concerned with tomorrow. It was always, how do I get more right now? Was there a step I struggled with more than the others? Step one, for a long time, I was not powerless over drugs and alcohol. My life was not unmanageable. At least I believed that. I believed that if I could separate myself from drugs and alcohol for long enough, right? I'll do 28 days, I'll do 45 days, I'll do 60, 90, whatever. And then I'm gonna go back to drinking the way I want. I'm gonna go back to using the way that I want. You know, I'll do meth on the weekends and I'll like go to work Monday through Friday. I'd convince myself that I was in control, that life wasn't that bad. There was I had all those like yets. I would convince myself that I don't have felonies yet, right? I haven't slept with another guy yet. I haven't like done all those crazy things that I hear about in meetings. I still have all my teeth. So there's no way that I'm unmanageable. Like, I still have control. And that got me to some really, really, really dark places.
Damn. I always worry about the overdosing part, but I've also heard that you can't really overdose on. I mean, you can, but like it takes so much. But the fucking heart will just blow up or something. One time. Wow. Yep, I'm a drug addict. And crystal meth and sex. What does this guy have to say about this?
Meth and sex. Crystal meth and sex. Let's face it, they work hand in hand and they do actually play together. And it's one of those, when you actually are sober and you think about it, and you literally think about how crystal meth is, to me, it was always a very dirty drug. It was never my drug of choice. I've done crystal meth before, never smoked it, never injected it. But I did snort it because, well, let's face it, when you lay it out like a line and you're not paying attention and you want to get high and you love cocaine and your nose is a vacuum, you will snort everything up. And yes, meth increases and blows up your sex drive. And when you really look back at it, this is the cringiest, just most nastiest, disgusting thing ever. And I share on these topics because I've found that a lot of people relate to them. We've all been there, and it helps remind us why we're sober. It's one of these that we look back at a lot of the things that we did in life and we're like, why did we do this? Like, what were we thinking when we did this? And we weren't. We were literally that much of an addict. And so when it comes to meth and sex, they play hand in hand, and this is what it's all like. If you're new to the channel, hit the like and subscribe button. What's up, guys? My name is Eric, and I'm a recovering cocaine and alcoholic addict. I like to share a lot of my stories and what I've been through in life for those who are looking for some words of advice, words of encouragement. They're looking for hope. Because that was one of the things, especially when I wanted to get sober, I didn't think anyone could relate to me. And there was a lot of topics out there and a lot of things that I struggled with that no one even, I couldn't find stuff on, and no one would be honest and real with me on it until I got into like AA and when I realized that, holy shit, I'm not alone. And so I like to share on these topics. And one of them is when it comes to crystal meth and sex. Crystal meth and sex, play hand in hand together. And why they play hand in hand together is, yes, crystal meth will make you horny. Just like a lot of stimulant drugs out there, it will make you horny. It increases your sex drive. I don't believe personally, and this is, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a counselor, I'm not a therapist. I don't believe it puts you into like hypersexuality, but it gives you this massive sex drive. And it's not like an ED sex drive, where if you take ED meds, that sex drive's a little different. Like you get touched and you're instantly aroused down there. I mean, like you're into the mood really easy and you're able to perform. Where when it comes to meth, you are high, you are doing this massive stimulant that is going through your brain-blood barrier. It is not like Adderall, so it's not going through your system very much. It's literally going right into your brain, right into your system. It's affecting your neurotransmitters. It's producing a massive amount of dopamine. When you have a lot of dopamine in your system, guess what? You get really horny. Why? Because it is a natural default. Like dopamine, happiness, what increases that? Sex is something that's proven to increase even more dopamine production. So it's almost a defense mechanism of our body of almost, I always felt like trying to distract us from a drug to get us to do something else. But regardless, these are just my beliefs. They're not scientifically proven. But when it comes to it, yes, you instantly are easy to get into the mood. And let's face it, when you are doing meth, it's this weird balance between sex and it's a weird balance between doing the drugs. Because now you're high, you want to do the drug, or you want to have sex, but you also want to do the drug. So how do you do that? Guess who you're having sex with now? You are not having sex with anyone who's sober. And usually when we're an addict, we're not necessarily with an addict. And if you are living with an addict and you are in a trap house, you're there. You're living hell. And those that have been there and know about that know exactly what I mean. But for the ones that are these functioning addicts, we are trying to hide this, so you can't do this drug with somebody who's per se sober. You're hiding addiction from.
Yes, that's what I keep saying. You can't do it with somebody who's sober. It's either pouring yourself or you got to find another bitch who's down just like you are.
You're going to do it with others that do it, or others that are willing to look the other way, still have sex with you while you do it. And what ends up happening is at a certain point, there becomes too much into your system that, yes, you don't get hard. Like, yes, I know that there are people out there that, yeah, they can do some. And next thing you know, they are having sex nonstop for days on end almost. With me, it was different. I had a very obsessive mindset. So mine defaulted back more towards drugs and drug use. And so next thing you know, you are trying to balance this sex and drugs back and forth. That is a difficult balance to do. And you put yourself in just riskier situations. You put yourself in riskier environments. And the problem is that it is a happy endorphin, just dopamine rush into your system, and the drugs themselves are feeding that. So you crave sex. It's like this obsession craving, almost like you do a drug. That it almost plays hand in hand. It makes you feel that your high was better, your experience with that high was better. So you're constantly seeking different partners, just like you're constantly seeking drugs to keep getting this high. And that is the reality of what I found when it came to any kind of stimulants. When it came to cocaine, it came to meth. And let's face it, you aren't able usually to perform. And now all of a sudden you're not getting hard, you're not really able to have sex, but you're still trying. And so you're like sitting there with a wet noodle, doing whatever you think you can do, and you're probably paying the person because most people aren't going to be there for that kind of enjoyment. And so now you're even in riskier situations, because the bottom line is when we are an addict, we do the dumbest things. And especially when you are an addict and something affects your sex drive and makes you horny and makes you want to have sex and you're doing drugs, you go through massive lengths to do some of the edgiest, dumbest things in the world that put you in some of the most dangerous positions. Not to mention that you could have unprotected sex, you can end up catching different things. And again, it's bad all the way around, but we as an addict, you can't reason with us. And that's why I share these experiences and stories. So when it comes to meth and sex, they play hand in hand. For the one out there struggling with it, I got links down below to AA and NA. I mean, reach out. It helps just to hear other people's stories. It helps to hear people that can relate so that you know that you're not alone. Click the like and follow button, comment down below.
Oh, shut the fuck up. Comment and follow my page as well. Harris is drinking again. But yeah, fuck it. That's what we're gonna end right there. He gave a good breakdown. I felt like I gave a decent breakdown earlier. I might be recording some separate videos and releasing them here on the channel about crystal meth use and addiction and other addictions, and giving more of my testimony as well, because why not? And unlike these fucks, I mean, I'm still currently in the shit. I might do it here, I might do it there. I don't fucking know. But the end game is to eventually grow from that and stay away. Again, 1-800-662-HELP is the National Drug Addiction Hotline number. I'm going to end this show, getting the fuck up out of here. I wanted to come through strong. I felt like it was a decent show. 2+ hours. I'm going to go in for a graveyard shift, continue to drink and smoke some weed tonight. Hopefully not do any drugs. So we'll see y'all next week for episode 105. Staying consistent, staying strong. And the motherfucking Harry's Drinking Again Pubcast. The place where you can come and get the real spiel from myself, Harry Too Scary, aka Mr. Harris. There is shame, there is guilt. And that's why, see, nothing. Couple little sippers off the top, big deal. That's why I do what I do. Hopefully you've been entertained and somewhat informed. Yeah, deal. I'm off tomorrow, so catch up more on my sleep this weekend, because I myself was up for like 7 out of the 10 days. The last 10 days, it's been fucking nightmare. I wish everybody much love, peace, and blessings. Let's continue to stay strong and fight the demons. We out. Have a good night, motherfucker.